This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association from the 6 Hour Studios on the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now in the 6 Hour Studios. Mark Walters in front of the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone. And it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas. How you doing, my brother?
Not too bad. Taco Tuesday. Here we are.
Taco Tuesday. I had sushi for lunch today.
That'll work.
And I could just lay down and go to sleep right now.
Yeah, that does it too.
Is that what it's from? Is that what
probably.
does it? Yeah.
Probably a little bit.
Yeah. Good heavens,
Sushi's good though.
Oh, it was really good. Yeah, it was.
I
really
love good sushi.
I had a what was it? A lobster roll and a spicy, crunchy tuna roll and some edamame and some fried rice. Ooh.
Very nice.
Love that stuff. Hey, we're up on all platforms today, Greg. If you would be kind enough to tell people, and ladies and gentlemen, that includes Facebook.com/ArmedAmericanRadio, Facebook.com/ArmedAmericanRadio, and then we'll get over to Lee the Gunwriter Williams. I'm ready when you are, Greg. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. If you head over there, just search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. You can also head over to X and search for @AARMark. If you want to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That will do it. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome in on a Tuesday with me, brother. How you doing today?
Good to be here. Thank you. I'm doing fine.
Always a pleasure. What'd you have for lunch today, Lee?
I had a couple of ham sandwiches, small, little, something I could just do quick. I've been writing all day.
Did you put Swiss cheese and Hellmann's on them?
I put butter on a really good piece of bread and then a piece of ham on each.
Butter? Greg, you ever heard that? You ever done that?
No, let's grilled ham and cheese.
Oh, you grilled it. Oh, did you butter it up and grill it? Lee?
No. The ham was just cold right out of the fridge.
With some butter. Oh, I'm going to have to try that. Greg, I'll let you know.
Never used butter as a condiment before, but okay.
All right, I'll let you know. Well, you know why they call it bread and butter pickles? Back during the Depression, people used to put butter on bread and put pickles on their bread, and then that was their sandwich during the Depression. That's why they call it bread and butter pickles. You know the sweet pickles? That's a true story. You can look that up. So there's your trivia for the day today, ladies and gentlemen. That's a true story. Ta-da! Look that up. I'm telling you. Lee, so we have some updates on Adamiak. I keep mispronouncing this kid's name. Correct me, please.
No, you're close. It's Adamiak.
Adamiak. Okay, there you go. I got it. Adamiak. I got it. So this kid is 17 years, got 17 years left. You have updates. There was a judge now who admitted what?
Yeah, the judge that oversaw his trial, her name is Judge Arenda Wright Allen, and she's appointed by Barack Obama a dozen years ago. She fills out after the trial an 8-page document called a Statement of Reason, or SOR. It includes her reasoning behind giving Adamiak his 2-decade sentence, which prosecutors wanted to be 3 decades. So I'm going to read you what she wrote. Mitigating factor, performed well on bond, did not possess all parts of destructive devices, showed remorse during elocution, she wrote in her SOR. For those fluent in federal firearm law, her comments did not possess all parts of destructive device is unbelievable, Mark. It damns the prosecution, the ATF expert, the judge herself, because the only way you could charge somebody with that, with possessing destructive devices, is if they have everything. The law is very clear. You have to have everything. It doesn't have to be put together, but you have to have all the parts, and he didn't.
Okay, so we have new listeners on the program today. We have Jackson, Tennessee, WNWS-FM 101.5. Welcome. WBFG-FM 96.5. Parker's Crossroad, Tennessee. North Carolina, 1350 WZGM-AM, 1350 AM. Black Mountain, North Carolina. That's Asheville. And the FM translator there as well. So for those listeners who are not up to speed on this, give us the quick rundown as to Adamiak's case. So we have some backstory here, then we'll give some commentary.
Patrick Tate Adamiak would likely be a Navy SEAL officer right now. He was active in the Navy. He had 10 years in the Navy. He had been accepted to go to SEAL school. Not guaranteeing he would have made it, but knowing Patrick, he probably would have. He also, on his own, had a vibrant and thriving pro-gun website where he sold parts. He didn't sell guns. He sold gun parts. He is fascinated by guns, always loved guns. At some point, wanted to create a museum. At some point, ATF hit his home, dug through all his crap, and charged him. Everything they charged him with, and we've gone through everything, has been perfectly legal. He bought 2 RPGs when he was 19 in California. They were probably never fired a live round. They were marked training aid dummy and inert.
You can buy them at gun shows. You can buy them on Gunbroker, ladies and gentlemen. They're fake. They're not real.
You can go to my story that I put on, I think, 12 different ones that are for sale, anywhere from like $300 to $1,400. They're fake. They're toys. They charged him with possessing 2 RPGs as destructive devices because the idiots at the ATF dropped an ATF 7.62 by 39 millimeter round converter in there, and it fired the round. Guess what? Well, that converter will fire even if it's not in an RPG. So this kid would probably be out had he not been charged with the RPGs. That's the big problem. The RPGs gave him 15-point enhancement on his sentence. So he likely would be out of prison right now. He's in a model little prison in New Jersey. He'd be out were it not for these 2 RPGs that are stamped training aid dummy and inert.
All right, so when the judge made this is his judge that said this?
Yes, Judge Arenda Wright Allen.
Is this the judge that sentenced him?
Found him guilty. Yep, same judge that sentenced him.
Okay, nothing makes sense here. How do you square this? How do you put a kid in prison for 20 years when you made the statement that she made?
Did not possess all parts of destructive devices.
All right, you got to help me out here.
Yeah. Well, federal law is very clear. If you have an RPG and it's capable of firing and you have all the parts, you're going to get nailed. But you know these things, brother. It didn't have any internals. They had to use all of their own parts from the ATF stuff, just like they did on the machine guns, just like they did on the handguns, just like they did on everything else with this kid. I got to tell you, brother, I seldom talk about stuff like this, but the story is doing incredibly well. 15,000 people have seen it so far. People are frankly upset about how the government has been mistreating this kid, who right now would be running around doing SEAL stuff. Okay?
Yeah, but see, none of this squares. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. And I'm sure I'm not alone. Listeners, I'm sure you're with me on this. So you got an ATF case that should not have been brought. It looks like people lied. I don't want to make any accusations against anybody individual, including their expert, because I don't know.
They lied.
Okay,
they lied.
You have this, and now you have a judge who admits that he doesn't have all the stuff, but then finds him guilty, and then puts him in prison and says in her own ruling that he didn't have all the parts. None of this makes sense to me. And with the DOJ under Trump right now, why, oh, why is this guy still in jail with all of these parts? I don't understand it.
And he was super, super careful about what he brought into his home. Let me tell you, he knew he would become a target, and he didn't want any problems at all. So the only stuff he brought in and sold were stuff that didn't have to have an FFL parts.
So well, that begs this question. Why did he know he would be a target?
Everybody right now who's doing really well. He was one of the top salesmen on several websites.
Now, this was all occurring during the Biden administration.
Absolutely. He was very cautious and very careful.
So where's the Trump administration right now? Where's help? Is the cavalry coming to help this young man?
I don't know.
Or are we the cavalry?
In September, in the Fourth Circuit, he'll have a hearing. Of course, they're reading the conviction, so they'll have. I know his attorney's working. He got a new attorney, thank God, and they're working on trying to get him another hearing.
Okay.
to appeal his case.
So it looks like we're the
But, you know, that's
cavalry in this
September.
case. I mean, I don't know. We're getting ready to take a break, Lee. When we come back, we'll wrap up on that. There's
We
a bunch
are.
of other places I want to go, including Austria. But it looks like we're the cavalry here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a very frustrating case for a lot of different reasons, which is why we've been following this, because there seems to be something new every other week, or at least once a month. Something new comes up that the government was derelict, obviously, yet this kid's rotting in jail, and I can't wrap my head around it. So it's interesting to talk about. None of it makes any sense to me. It's hard to square. It's like, oh, well, this part I see now. No, that's not. None of that's happening. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues right after the break. Don't go away.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. Here in 6 Hour Studios, Mark Walters in front of the Patriot Mobile mic. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're rejoined, you need to. Please help us at the NRA. We need your support moving forward. There's only one way we're going to advance our gun rights, stop nonsense like this from happening. And folks, I'm going to tell you, it's the National Rifle Association. This is the new NRA. Join us. Stop looking backwards. Look forward with us at NRA. It's real simple to do. NRA.org/AAR. That's simple. Get a great discount and move forward with us. Help us. Join the NRA or rejoin the NRA. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome back, brother.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, wrap this up for me, if you could, because I'm really confused about this.
Well, his trial attorneys were actually happy that he was charged with the RPGs because they said it was a ridiculous claim. You know, everybody would see how crazy it was. It damaged the credibility of the government's case, blah, blah, blah. No jury would convict him because they're toys. I mean, he's sitting in jail right now because they were unable to refute the RPG charges. It's crazy. These things, I mean, I listed 12 sites where you can buy them right now without any ID. You send them the cash, send them your credit card, they'll send you the RPG. I mean, it's insane. But, you know, when they kicked down the door of his house 3 years ago, they went through all this stuff, they realized that they had no charges, so they had to make fake crimes. And that's exactly what the ATF
All right, so
did.
let me stop you. Why, if that's the case, why did they realize they had to make fake crimes? Why couldn't they just have moved on to somebody else? Why did they have to? For what reason?
We've seen that a couple other times. You're talking ego on investigators, and there were like 10 different agencies were at his house. So I'm sure the ATF agent in charge, forget his name, thank God, said, well, we're going to come up with something. And then they did. I mean, he's doing 20 years.
That's criminal.
Everything he has is legal.
Okay, so that's criminal. Correct?
It is. It is. Yes, it is.
What does that show us about the depravity of the Biden ATF?
Oh, they're the worst organization ever. People have been speculating, well, what's going to happen to them? Well, they might become part of DEA, whatever. I don't care. They need to get gone. I mean, we cannot afford to have guys running around with federal badges in their belt folds who are going to act like this. Because next time, that could be you, that could be me, that could be our loved ones, that could be anybody. Mark, it's serious crap here. I mean, it is really serious, and it needs to end. And we need to bring this organization down because, you know, there's no real claim. Let's say Trump gets replaced by Dem. It'll be back to the way it was under Biden.
Well, that's everybody's concern. It's why we need to get rid of the ATF. I mean, we understand that. But the confusion here that I have, it is really hard. Dude, I've been doing this for a long time. Okay? We've seen people, like, just on a minor, not a minor deal, it wasn't minor for the bodega owner in New York who defended himself with a knife against somebody that hopped the counter and was trying to kill him. And it was caught on video, and he stabs the guy, and the guy dies. Alvin Bragg charges him with a crime. The public outcry was such that the charges were dropped, as they should have been, because they should have never been brought. Why no public outcry here? ATF
because
wasn't caught on video, wasn't seen. Is that the difference?
There's no handy video except of their search, and you've got guns. The issue is guns, and nobody understands it. The judge herself didn't understand the gun issue, or she wouldn't have written what she wrote in her SOA. I mean, this is so bad. You're going to bring in ATF to testify in court. You've got prosecutors who don't understand federal law. You've got judges who don't understand federal law. Obviously, his attorneys weren't fluent in it. That's the problem. You need good attorneys, bro. And he did not have one. And he's doing 20 years as a result.
17 left.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to continue following this. I know you are. And great writing on this, by the way. Has there been any movement at DOJ? I know you've reached out. Have you heard anything? Is there any luck whatsoever in trying to get this kid a pardon? Because that's right now, that's what's left.
Well, pardon, or he could, he could get a presidential pardon, but he could also, he's working on an appeal. An appeal could take 2, 3, 4 years. A pardon, he walks out tomorrow.
I mean, at the very
the Fourth
least.
Circuit said they want to hear from his attorney. They actually want him to come to the Fourth Circuit and testify about the appeal. So that's a little weird, but maybe they've heard about this case. Who knows? All I know is people need to keep circulating the name, and people need to know who Patrick Tate Adamiak is and what the federal government did to him.
Okay, well, I'm not defending the government here, and I'm not trying to protect these bogus charges against this kid. But it begs this question: is there something we don't know? Because none of this makes sense.
Yeah, I was that way, Mark. I'll be honest with you. I was that way for months. What haven't I found? What haven't I found? What haven't I found? I've gone through everything, every literal thing that the prosecution has. There's nothing there. There is nothing there. They have no real charges against him. It's not like, well, they aired on the RPGs, but his other charges were great. No, they have no charges against this young man. He should be a freed man.
Yeah,
and the only way, he's known in his prison as the only guy there who's actually innocent. The other inmates treat him well because they know he's innocent.
Well, they all like to say in prison, everybody's innocent, of course, but it appears they know this guy actually is innocent. He's in a rough environment. There's no such thing as a nice prison cell. So, golly, I don't know. I have a tough time with this. At the very least, get a commutation of his sentence while they work through the rest of it. It doesn't even need to be a full pardon. It just needs to get him out of jail. Can worry. I'm sure getting out of jail is going to be more important than dropping that felon moniker, but that can come later. Get the kid out of jail. Man, anybody at DOJ, if you're listening, please take a look at this. Reach out to Lee, the gun writer. Lee, where can people reach you on this?
They can go to thegunwriter.com. I'm sorry, thegunwriter.substack.com. They can go to armedamericannews.org. They can go to saf.org. They've got all the stories at SAF. Or they can just read Twitter, because right now 666 people have liked the story on Twitter.
Okay, 666, huh? 666?
30.
Yeah, I know.
Let's
Scary.
get that to 667, okay? Because that's the mark of the beast. Somebody else liked that really quick. I already did, so I'm in there. I can't undo it and do it again. Well, let's go ahead and take care of that. All right, guys, when we come back, there was a shooting in Austria, school shooting in Austria. But that only happens in the United States. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Didn't take the CCR-KBA and Alan Gottlieb long to put something out there debunking the anti-gunners and all their nonsense BS that they tell us that it only happens here, it's unique to America. It's not. John Lott's been telling us that for a long time. Speaking of John Lott, if you were listening to the show yesterday, I Googled up gun control, and a bogus left-wing study came up. John has responded. Wait till you hear the response on his website, and I'll tell you where to go to read it, but it's really fun. We'll be right back. Guys, we'll be right back with you during the break in just a second. Got something I want to mention to you. Public service announcement. If you saw me grabbing something to eat there's a reason I did that, and I'll tell you about that in just a second. Hold tight. blood sugar crashed today, guys, to 39 while we were live on the air. That's bad news. Anyway, we're coming back live. That's why. I apologize.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. NRA.org, nra.org/AAR. Join us, please. 6 Hour Studios are fired up for you. We're going to talk about that briefly with Lee in just a second here on the Patriot Mobile microphone. Lee, let's talk about it right now real quick. The importance of the National Rifle Association right now, Lee, is critical. People have got to start looking forward and have to rejoin this organization. This is such a critical time for gun rights. We've got very limited time with Trump before the midterms to get things done. And it's just, we have to have the NRA out there in states, the ILA, et cetera, fighting these battles. And you're going to know what I'm talking about here coming up in just the next couple segments because of this ridiculous, and I do mean ridiculous. I can't even call it a study. It's a joke, and we'll hear John Lott's organization, crimeresearch.org, debunk it. But, Lee, tell us why it's so important to join the NRA, please.
There are a lot of pro-gun organizations out there, and you know, join all that you want to, join all that you can. However, add them all up, none of them. Add them all up, they still don't have the effectiveness and the personnel and the money that NRA does. NRA has been around forever. It's been around since right after the Civil War. It's every major accomplishment we've had on the Second Amendment has been partially funded or wholly funded by the NRA. We have to keep it. We need it. Their people are smart. I've dealt with them over the years. When you're dealing with someone from NRA, you don't have to translate. They know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, and
it's a great organization. Sure, it's gone through some troubles, but who hasn't? Which organization
That's a great point. Ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself, have you not gone through any troubles? I mean, come on. In reality, they have done what they've needed to do to fix those problems, and they've reached out for our assistance, and I aim to give it to them. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, and let them know that you heard about it here, okay? Thank you for supporting them. That's what that AAR promo code is for over there, so that they can watch and check and make sure that, in fact, we're doing what we should be doing on our behalf, and I beg you to do that. Please support them. It's $35 for a year. $35 for a year. It's a no-brainer. And when we come back from the next break, we'll talk a little bit about attorneys on retainer. You were just talking about needing a good attorney. Whew, don't we know that to be the case? So, Lee, there was let's start with the school shooting in Austria. Did you see the story break on this today?
Yeah. Sad, man. I mean, it's terrible.
Well,
it's terrible.
Yeah, but it is terrible. It's always terrible. But there was a school shooting in Graz, Austria today. 9 people were killed. The killer did what all cowards do, took his own life. Apparently, as this news still comes out, he used 2 legally obtained firearms in Austria. And in Austria, purchases involve a 3-day waiting period. Handguns can only be purchased by someone over 21 years old who holds a license. And very similar to Democrat states. And what have we been hearing about from Democrats forever? We need waiting periods. We need background checks. The kid did it all. And he did it in Austria, where not only do you have to get a background check and a waiting period, but you also have to provide a reason why you want the gun. So this just thoroughly debunks the anti-gunners. And not only does it debunk their gun control scheme, Lee, but it also debunks this myth and this lie that they put up. This only happens in America. It's unique to America. It's not unique to America. It happens around the world. Because you don't hear about it, because they don't report it, doesn't mean it's going on, ladies. It's not going on, ladies and gentlemen. It is. Lee, take it away. Am I missing anything here?
No, I think we need to reemphasize the fact that you're not hearing about it going on because it doesn't match the liberal media's talking points. It doesn't match what they want to report and what they don't want to report. That's why you're not hearing about it. Yes, other countries have gun issues too, but if the media reports them, then it'll make American gun issues seem weird and oh, it's crazy. So, yeah.
We're not even in the
Absolutely.
top 10, by the way, in the United States of America with gun violence around the world, ladies and gentlemen. But, you know,
No.
why tell you that?
It's just an American problem, right? That's what they want us to believe. It's just an American problem.
It's not an American problem. It's a human problem, ladies and gentlemen. There are criminals and bad people everywhere that do criminal bad things, okay? Alan Gottlieb had to say the following. What we have ascertained from various reports is that the alleged shooter used 2 legally obtained firearms, and gun ownership in Austria requires registration. I've left that out. Purchases involve a 3-day waiting period, and handguns may be purchased only by people over age 21 who hold a firearms license. This tells us that the gun prohibition lobby is absolutely wrong when it argues that waiting periods and gun registration will prevent such tragedies. The 21-year-old suspect reportedly used a handgun and a shotgun, and he had a firearms license. So the notion that a licensing requirement will deter such attacks is also now thoroughly debunked. What we do know is that restrictions on gun ownership in Austria did not prevent this attack, and that calling for such restrictions on gun ownership in America as a means of stopping tragedies here amounts to a promise gun grabbers have no intention of keeping and know they cannot guarantee. What they do know, but will never acknowledge, is that their efforts are designed to discourage gun ownership with the ultimate goal of eliminating it altogether. Did Alan miss the mark on anything?
Could not agree more, brother. I could not agree more. I've been to Europe, been to Germany. I have a lot of friends and relatives in Germany. They come over here, they get to shoot guns, they go home, they can't because they're so crazy to try and buy a firearm legally in Germany.
Yeah, you see that a lot when I'm up at the Car Firearms Festival, the Rod of Iron Festival every October. You see a lot of Japanese tourists coming that hit that, and a lot of Korean tourists, right, come out to go to that festival with Car Arms. And they have a ball. I mean, I wind up grabbing cameras and taking photographs of their families, 8, 10 deep, holding the Tommy guns. They do things here that they can't do when they get back home. And you feel bad for them. They love their guns, just like
really
you do. And they can't exercise a right because they don't have a recognized right like we do. And that's, well, you know, makes us very unique. I was on Mark Cox in the morning show in Philadelphia and St. Louis today. And as we were talking a little bit about some of the cases that have been evolving and some of the different issues, we started talking about, will we see a spike in gun ownership because of what's going on in Los Angeles? Kim St. Ange asked me that. And I said, you likely will, but it might not be enough to reflect in the NICS checks. Where we're at now is roughly 1 million checks, background checks, Lee, a month. 1 million a month. And if guns were the problem, as they say it is all the time, there's too many guns are the problem. You know, David Hogg and his little beta male self. Why don't we have 1 million murders a month?
That, my friend, is a great question.
If guns are the problem,
they're not linked to murders.
None of it makes
That's
sense.
A great way to phrase that.
I can't figure it out, but none of it seems to make any sense to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, or maybe it is in fact David Hogg, beta male himself, who's gotten himself in lots of trouble as the DNC vice chair and is likely not going to survive his his little stint over there, because even they're sick and tired of this guy. And he put I guess it was a plea for the DNC to keep him in yesterday. And one part of what he said was interesting. He said, Americans are looking at us for leadership now in these tough times of Trump. Yeah, and I got to thinking, yeah, that's right. Americans are looking to David Hogg to show them the way. Where is David Hogg? David Hogg, show me the way. These people are so full of themselves. Like, you're laughing again. But I don't know. Are there people looking for David Hogg to show them the way, Lee?
Yes, there's millions of them. Millions. No, I don't think there are probably any, bro.
Oh, well, where's David Hogg? Where is David Hogg? Help me through these Trump times. Help me. Oh, David Hogg. We're getting ready to take our final break. When we come back, I want to go to that study that we talked about yesterday. It's a joke, but wait till you hear the response from John Lotz, crimeresearch.org, about the bogus study. I'll tell you more about it, kind of teasing it right now. I'll tell you more about it when we come back from the break with Lee the Gunwriter Williams. We have one more segment to go on Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. We'll be back right after the breaks, guys. Don't go away.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by AttorneysOnRetainer.com. AttorneysOnRetainer.com. Visit them today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, visit Attorneys on Retainer, ladies and gentlemen. Great organization over there. Was out there spending some time with them at their corporate in Phoenix, and actually in Chandler, just a little bit southeast of downtown, if you know anything about the area. And beautiful offices over there. They're the real deal, folks. Don't wait until it's too late. It's not necessary to do that. People think, oh, I got to get an attorney. It's going to cost a fortune. Yeah, it can. Trust me, I just got done with a 2-year court battle against one of the most powerful organizations on earth. Okay? Attorneys aren't free, folks, on either side. And there was a lot of money dropped on these attorneys. And, you know, if you're waiting for self-defense, if you have to use a firearm for self-defense, and you're waiting and you don't have an attorney, that's what you're going to be faced with. It'll bankrupt you. Cost you your home, your kids' educations, everything. It can literally bankrupt you. And they have no problem doing that to get paid. It's incredibly expensive, but it's not necessary to do today. For $35 a month, you can have an attorney, an entire team of attorneys who focus on nothing but self-defense law in your corner. It's a no-brainer, ladies and gentlemen. It's just one of those head-slap no-brainers. You don't want to be sitting there going, oh, my God, why didn't I do that yesterday when I thought about it? Just get it done. Save $50 on your sign-up fee using the AAR promo code. Real simple. You can visit attorneysonretainer.us, attorneysonretainer.com, whatever floats your boat. Or you can go right over to our website at Armed American Radio, click on it, fill out the forms, watch the video, understand what it's all about, and boom, you have an attorney on retainer immediately. As long as you pay the $35 a month, you've got a confidentiality, attorney-client privilege instantly that will help get you out of what could be the worst experience of your life ever. And believe me when I tell you, you don't want cheap free attorneys at that point. You want the best of the best, okay? So do that. It's a no-brainer. And while you're at it, join the NRA. You've just got a 1-2 punch going on, protecting yourself and protecting your gun rights, okay? And you can find all of our great partners, all of them, at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com, and support them all, please. They're all here for a reason, because they love you. They have great products. BudsGunShop.com, all of them. Visit them all, armedamericanradio.com. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome back. So yesterday, we did the, I love Googling gun control, right? And I did it again today. And Greg, listen to the top stories that come up today. Gun deaths of children rose in states that loosen gun laws. States that weaken gun laws saw a rise in pediatric mortality. Gun deaths among children surge after states loosen firearm laws. New study finds. Firearm death rate for children increased most in New Hampshire, declined most in Rhode Island. Gun deaths rose in states with weaker laws. That's from Newsmax, ladies and gentlemen. Yahoo. Looser gun laws tied to thousands more U.S. child shooting deaths. Newsweek. Child gun deaths grow in states with least gun controls. Now, these are all 4 or 5 hours, 1 day ago, 5 hours. There's 1 day ago, 5 hours, 4 hours. This is recent stuff, Lee. You follow me?
Absolutely.
So let's go over to John Lott at Crime Research. JAMA Pediatrics publishes extremely flawed study titled Firearm Laws and Pediatric Mortality in the U.S. A new study by JAMA Pediatrics asserts that states with permissive gun control laws experience higher pediatric firearm mortality rates following the 2010 Supreme Court decision in McDonald v. Chicago. The study analyzed data from 49 states spanning 1999 to 2023. This has to be one of the dumbest studies done in a long time. That's right off of Crime Research. So I got to read the rest, right? After public health officials fumbled the COVID response, you'd expect some hesitation before trusting their research on crime, a field far outside their expertise. The fact that they don't even mention policing and law enforcement in discussing crime rates should provide some warning to the media. And they go on to talk about how they've written extensively on the false claims made in the first sentence of this study. Firearm deaths are now the leading cause of death among U.S. children and adolescents. But, Greg, you remember my incredible analysis yesterday. They basically repeat what I said yesterday, and here's what they had to say at Crime Research. There are other very basic statistical problems with the study. It doesn't account for unobserved heterogeneity. They likely need to use a negative binomial instead of a Poisson, but they don't even do the basic statistical tests to see if they are using the correct regression estimates, Greg. Isn't that exactly what I said yesterday, Greg, in Dallas? Greg doesn't even, he just got floored is what happened. Yeah, I didn't I didn't quite go that far because that uses words that are above my pay grade, and I thought that was absolutely hilarious when I read that. But folks, we will have Dr. Lott on the program. Likely save him for the Weekend Monster Cast to talk about this because it is in fact a joke. And if you want to know it's a joke, Lee, you being a really as an adult, a lifelong journalist, a real investigative journalist, when you see this and you see the left jumping all over this, you know it's just an agenda-driven narrative, driver, isn't it?
Talking points. That's all it is. Talking points.
So, well, you know who one of the outlets was? ABC. Yeah, ABC just put a statement out that they're so concerned about journalistic integrity, that's why they suspended Terry Moran.
Yeah.
And I, for the life of me, I cannot understand why these outlets, even they themselves, continue to take themselves seriously. And then what do? They prove they're wrong by jumping all over this. Do you think any of these news outlets actually did some investigating to find out if there was any legitimacy to the study whatsoever before they just ran with it? No.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Shouldn't they?
They should. I mean, that's why I do not like using other people's studies, because you don't know how it was done. You don't know whether it's good, bad, indifferent, whatever. I use my studies, and I know my studies are good, and they're honest, and they're, quite frankly, you're not going to go wrong. But these people, oh my God, Mark, come on.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. And what's even scarier is that there are people that will search these terms, they will look this up, and they'll go, oh my God. Oh my gosh. And one of the bases of what crime research in John Lott's organization was talking about was the other folks, the pediatric, whoever did the study, the JAMA, that's the Journal of American Medical Association, far left-wing folks. I grew up reading that magazine. My dad was in the medical field his entire career. So JAMA sat around on our coffee table every month. It was just a staple in my house from my time I learned how to read. I had no idea it was a big left-wing publication, and I don't think it was until fairly recently. But nonetheless, when you see a study like this come out, people look at this, Lee, and they think, oh, it's from the Journal of American Medical Association. It must be accurate.
I got to tell you, I get there every day. I get an email from JAMA advertising their stories, wanting people to go. They have like 7 different groups wanting people to look at their stories. Brother, they're all, I mean, every time they have a story about firearms, it's negative. They have never once had a positive firearm story.
Do you expect they will?
No, they never will, ever.
So what does that say?
Why should you read them?
What it does, ladies and gentlemen, is it points out that if they were legit, they would be looking at both sides of an issue. If they thought the study was flawed, they would tell you that. But they don't. They run with anything negative, and the media just, oh, look at this. Let's jump on this. Folks, if you're watching any of these left-wing media outlets, mainstream legacy media outlets, and you're believing anything coming from them, I don't know what to tell you at this point. They have been lying to you for so long that even now, all you got to do is go look what they said about the Terry Moran issue, Lee. It's a joke. Oh, I can't believe that he did that at a time where all of our credibility is on the line. Your credibility's always been on the line. Now it's in the toilet. It's not on the line. It fell off the line, and it's getting ready to go down the drain hole. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, where can people find you, brother?
They can go to armedamericannews.org, the Gunwriter at substack.com, or saf.org.
That'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Lee is the real deal. Tomorrow is Wednesday. It's garbage day at the ranch. We will be here because they don't want us to be. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see each of you on the radio tomorrow.
Prescription for Freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it very much. And I saw a response on a Facebook post over at armedamericanradio.com Facebook page just a couple days ago and said, man, I just found the show. I love the show. But why is there so many? Why is there dead air during that? I think you might be losing viewers. So I had to respond again. If you're new to the program, this is a nationally syndicated talk radio program being heard on stations around the nation. Because it's live, okay, I can't eliminate the 4-minute breaks. I've made this point clear many, many, many times to those who don't understand. So during the program, if I ran the commercials for you, guess what I'm going to hear, Greg? That show was good, but it's way too many commercials. You can't please everybody, okay? So we've cut the commercials out. We're continuing to work during the show. So when we have time to banter back and forth with you, we will do that. Other times we cannot. And I do want to make a point today that those of you, I've had sugar issues for a long time. It runs in my family, the type 2 diabetes thing, and I keep it under control. But while we were live on air today, I could tell that it was dropping, and it was catastrophic. But my sugar dropped to 39 today, which is unbelievably low. And it shouldn't have done that, not considering I had just eaten lunch and had a very small Dairy Queen Blizzard afterwards. My sugar should not have dropped that low. So if you saw me eating on the air, that's exactly why I was doing that. I don't normally make that a habit to do while I'm on the radio. And I also, during one of the breaks, grabbed me some apple juice because apple juice has some sugar in it. So I had to elevate my sugar quickly. It was very strange. But anyway, there's your public service announcement. If many of you run into that as well, stay on top of it, guys. I do. You need to do the same, okay? And you can beat it just like I did, but got to stay on top of it. So when something like that happens, please just be careful. There's your public service announcement for the day. All right, guys, love you. Thanks for being here. Enjoy your day. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow. Garbage day at the ranch. No clue who's coming up, but I promise you it'll be fun. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys. Thanks for being here.